But I'm sick to the back teeth of hearing about that now infamous Newsnight interview with, of course, the former well known as the Duke of York, Prince Andrew. I think we all know what went on behind the scenes, and more importantly, the producer, Sam McAllister, who was instrumental in putting all that together. Well, then she was trying to whitewash out of her the whole production side of it by the presenter, Emily Maitlis. And as I pointed out before, I found the backstory to these two battling blondes far more interesting than the actual interview now with Andrew, because clearly there was no sisterhood, no glass ceiling, no I'll look after you. They just trampled over each other. But Sam McAllister, I would go with her simply because she did work hard, she did put it together, and I've seen presenters like Emily Maitlis before literally wipe the floor with people because of the talent. We saw that recently, didn't we, with Hugh Edwards, remember that? When of course Hugh Edwards, of course the disgraced now TV presenter, what was interesting was that both Emily Maitlis and her co-presenter of the newsagents, John Sopel, struck out and defended him, basically saying the corporation was treating him badly, the media was. No apology for that, of course, but then these are seasoned journalists who know and have their finger on the pulse, so we're supposed to believe them, right? Right. Well, here's where it gets even more interesting because, you know, Emily has milked that particular Newsnight Association interview to the absolute max. She thought she was going to be snapped up by a US TV channel as a glamorous new hostess, but of course they want their girls far more glamorous than that. And more importantly for Emily, even though she posed in the now very underselling Tatler magazine with her whippets in a fashion spread to up her ante, as it were, and has talked about all the people that she's interviewed like Donald Trump, nothing's really stuck. So she has to keep coming back to this. What's interesting here is that her version of events is now popping up over on Amazon, this time with the royal bashing Michael Sheen playing Prince Andrew. So you know how this is going already. Ruth Wilson, an actress I've never actually heard of, apparently plays Emily Maitlis. But because nobody's interested, and this is where I find this sort of stuff fascinating, I really do, the PR has been dead because it's all been swept up by Sam McAllister when she did her version earlier. Now here's again where it gets really interesting, because Emily suddenly remembered that a source very close to His Majesty the King, King Charles III, apparently uttered the words, well, His Majesty was very keen with the way that that particular interview went, quote. Now, first and foremost, I don't believe this for 1 second, because I do not believe that, of course, His Majesty the King would utter that about his younger brother. We know, of course, that Andrew allegedly said to his mother that it went well, but that was his perception. But I do not believe that King Charles said that. So I would call Emily out and say, okay, well, exactly who in the royal household did you speak to? But of course, she's not allowed to say. Now, when you're making frank admissions like that, particularly concerning the highest family in the land, really, it's a little bit scurrilous, isn't it, to say, well, someone said they were pleased with it. No, Emily, you're desperate for PR, nobody's really interested, and the dream is turning very much sour. And the few crumbs that you have left of this particular interview, you've got to try and galvanise so that, of course, if you wanted to carry on working with the Amazon production team on anything else, well, then you have to make it a success. Now, I'll throw it open to you, our chums, our friendship group out there. Do you not really get very suspicious of the mainstream media when they suddenly remember these facts that they've never mentioned in 5 years? You get the picture. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.